And we are so glad to have all of you here joining us in the Globe Arena in Stockholm and all of you wonderful viewers online as we kick off our semifinals. The first player in the bottom position of merry-go-round, the red Terran, the underdog. Give it up for Millennium's ForGG. Feels the heat of those flames, Moonglade.
He does indeed. And in the top right, as the Blue Zerg, the favorite to win this tournament, it is SK Telecom T1's Su. And you know what? Starting off is merry-go-round, and I actually think this is one of the few maps that ForGG has a chance to take down Su. I think it's going to match his style very well. He loves the Hellions, he loves the Banshees, and what better map than merry-go-round? Such an open map. The third base is very, very exposed. Hellions have a great time in this map against Zerg early on.
Yeah, ForGG, he likes to follow standard ladder builds. If you play in the European circuit, he ladders a ton. He picks safe builds that'll give him a little bit of aggressive options. But Su this game has already picked a very unorthodox opener for Zerg versus Terran. He went for a very fast gas into a quick spawning pool. And you know, Moonglade, this is a part where you make jokes like this is a team game build when you want to get aggressive or be defensive very quickly when taking an expansion is difficult. But why would he go for a build like this against someone like ForGG?
It's actually such an interesting build. It's one we saw Su actually use in his last best of 3 against Ryung. And I mean, we didn't get to see it come to fruition because I guess the game just didn't play out the way that he expected, and we didn't see Speedlings do too much. But I mean, obviously, he's going to get map control very, very quickly. He's going to get speed early enough to take down a Reaper, which is coming out in the map. But I also wonder exactly what else Su had in mind for this kind of style. Maybe a command center first he was thinking about. I mean, maybe proxy Chirax also would help a great deal against that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. When you're up against someone like ForGG, if you're so heavily favored as Su, you pick a build order that will crush a proxy Reaper, that will crush a proxy 2 barracks because fast Zergling speed is going to give you a lot of options. Of course, if it was a 2-rax, he tries to get bunkers up. You already have access to the gas to get Banelings if necessary. But these Zerglings can also try to be annoying. If that Reaper isn't at home to defend, and these Zerglings slow down that command center, you can get supply blocks. Suddenly you're a couple units behind, and Su just has an advantage anyway. And we already see, unlike that series versus Ryung, he's starting to pocket up Zerglings.
Absolutely, and this can do a lot of work considering that CC is on the low ground. ForGG didn't play this safe at all. If he put this on the high ground, he might have had a better chance to hold, but I think Su has figured out the perfect build for this. These Reapers are not going to stand a chance against these Speedlings, and this CC is going to have to be cancelled.
These Reapers are the only standing units on the map for ForGG. His reactor isn't done. Now he sees the Zerglings trying to escape. He slips by. He's going to jump out into the natural. This command center is so close to finishing, but the SCV does get picked off. ForGG, he doesn't really have any way to save this, and Su just says, I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to focus right on this command center because I know that if you have to cancel this, I have a huge lead in this matchup already.
Absolutely, a great lead there. And 2 more CCs going down in ForGG's base, so he has behind for sure. And I mean, the natural for Su was delayed because of this style, and actually Su invested quite a lot into Zerglings there. We didn't actually get to see the entire amount of Zerglings. I mean, look at that. Sure, he can do a lot of great work with this, especially if he gets a Hellion surround when ForGG finally manages to come out of his natural. But you know, it's a pretty hefty sort of price to pay just to deny the CC. So yeah. I definitely give it to Su at the moment, but he's got a lot of catching up to do in terms of droning.
The advantage of canceling the command center, you know, you said it. You invest a lot of the Zerglings. You're not quite ahead on drones at first, but you delay the extra mules, the extra SCV production that ForGG will normally have off 3 command centers. But at the same time, because he went for the fast 3 command centers, as ForGG is known to do, be very greedy with these openers despite bringing out the Reaper Hellion, this actually allows him to recover and not be in the worst spot.
Su's going for it again.
Tries to catch him on the ramp, gets the Reapers, he gets most of the Hellions. The depots are lowered as well. Su can get right inside of ForGG's base.
He did a lot of damage trading with those Reapers and Hellions, but I mean, those 2 more Hellions are going to clean everything up here. So, you know, a bit of a trade there. I guess he kind of gave up map control for that, but he did reset the Hellion count, so he's not going to have to worry about any sort of aggression from ForGG for now, and he is going to get that 3rd base up momentarily.
Yeah, and if we look at where he was just barely behind on workers when the Zerglings canceled the command center, and now he's slowly building up a commanding lead. 41 drones to 27 SCVs, of course, pushing those units back makes ForGG more hesitant to take his natural expansion, but also ForGG loses his map control, and the more Hellions he builds, the more he slows down his barracks, his engineering base, all the things you need to play a mid-game against a Zerg opponent.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's going to be very hard. We even saw the creep spread kind of delayed because of the way Su has played this out, because of how aggressive he is, how much of an investment into Zerglings. So, you know, it's also becoming, it's coming out very, very slowly, and it is a problem on this map. Creep spread, incredibly important, and this map, creep spread, is very, very hard to do. Once those Hellions are on the map, these Tombers are going to have a very, very hard time spreading, especially to the third base. But ForGG obviously is on the defensive because of these Speedlings. He doesn't want to go out of his base. He doesn't want to get counter-attacked until that wall is completed, until he feels safe enough to move out.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in. ForGG's one of those players that loves to get aggressive with his Hellions, and now Su can he can sit back. He doesn't have a lot to worry about. The Zerglings getting into the base of ForGG also allowed him to see all the units that were there, everything he had in position, but definitely it's not a situation where Su, there's nothing that he wouldn't see coming.
Absolutely right, absolutely. So, very interesting game so far. I definitely give it to the edge to Su, but I mean, ForGG is not out of it in any sense of the word. He does have those 3 CCs. Su's third base is still making it. Looks like, yeah, he was going for those very fast mutas off 2 base, very fast 4 gas before upgrades, before anything else. So we're going to have to wait and see how that's going to turn out once the game goes underway once again, once the lag is dealt with. Hopefully not too far away.
Yeah, this it's not the worst possible position because Su slowed himself down with the build order that he chose. But ForGG, he's the kind of guy that likes to be active out on the map.
Absolutely.
You know, he gets greedy, but he's not known for having perfect macro. It's more about the early aggressive plays that slowly buy him edge by edge. We saw ForGG and Su. We're ready to rock and roll here in Stockholm, and as we were discussing, Moonglade, ForGG does not have a lot of options for being aggressive. His starports are close to finishing. His engineering bays are finishing, but that Spire is so close too.
That's right.
It really makes it difficult to get active out on the map.
Yep, and you know, upgrades for both players, starting at around the same time, so there's no really upgrade there for anyone. Nice creep spread from Su considering how late it started, and Su getting more Zerglings out in the map. We do see ForGG has the Xel'Naga tower in the middle, but not really making much more use of it. Kind of just waiting there, seeing what's going to come on the map, and I'm sure he's going to try and poke this third base and see if he can do any drone damage before these Zerglings come.
Yeah, this is a situation where ForGG normally, and if you guys have ever tuned into his stream, he loves to throw around the early Hellion pressure, but only having 4, not generally what you see out of him. There's not too many Zerglings here. He kills a drone or 2, but he's looking for a few more. Okay, this is not terrible. With only 4 Hellions, you don't expect to get really anything.
Actually, that's a considerable amount of drones that went down. 8 drones from that? I was not expecting that much damage at all.
That's a nice little pick-me-up for ForGG, especially since you didn't really have to commit as much as you normally would. What's a bit unfortunate, as we can see, this Overlord is defecating ForGG's third base, and as a Terran player, you normally like to take your third around this time, but he won't really be able to secure it until the 12-minute mark. It's going to complicate things. He still has to get a Marine out there, but the Muta is running straight into these medevacs.
And no reaction, though. They fly past each other, and this is a huge problem.
Well,
this is so many Marines, and there's no Zerglings. They're only being made now.
With these Marines unloaded, now things get complicated. Stimming straight in. Combat Shield is done too. ForGG looking for blood against the GSL finalists right here. Mutas, they cannot engage as he tries to poke in. If you can kill the medevacs, it allows those Zerglings to clean up the Marines. But he's doing some work. He might even kill the spawning pool.
Yeah, he's going to kill the spawning pool. This is a terrible position for Su. ForGG out of nowhere doing so much damage here. And there's still not enough Zerglings to take this down.
Overlords dropping left and right. The drones running for cover. He's like, another spawning pool. Nope. Picks that off. He's going to lift up as soon as these Zerglings run through. He's just going to try to escape with the medevac. That's a considerable control taken in this game by ForGG with that play.
Has just done an amazing move, and it was kind of a big mistake from Su to be that carefree, to not make any Zerglings. You know, he kind of wasted every Zergling on those 4 Hellions, and ForGG took full advantage of that. He knew that Su was going to be remaking drones, 8 drones, in fact. And from there, I mean, a perfect drop, killing the spawning pool.
Oh, he tries to send out 2 more. Muta's immediately on top of it. He's still close enough to home. And of course, we see that second factory, which will enable him to get Thors out as well. Very important. Neither player, by the way, has started their +2 upgrades. The armory is not yet complete. So this can give Su a nice little advantage as he kicks his off. But of course, you need a spawning pool, which he's just now finished again to actually get those units out. But without that, that also means he doesn't have any Banelings prepared, even if he gets some Zerglings out in the next minute.
Yep, that's right. He has to be very careful. And no, 4th base only just started now. Considering how long that 3rd base has been down for ForGG, I mean, the economy's kind of equalized at this point. Great creep spread from Su, so he's going to kind of resume control, but he is behind in supply, and he avoided some critical mine hits there. Killing them just in time.
The Banelings being able to pick up the mines. This one's going to grab 4 Banelings. Not bad. He can always retreat to the bunker, and now the drop unloads in the main base. ForGG has completely caught Su's attention at his 3rd. There's no Marines in this bunker. Complicates things a bit, but he can lift it off. He's got more Marines. The question is, how much damage will ForGG do at the same time back at Su's base?
I think he's actually can kill the lair at this point. There's simply too much damage, and here we see the lair is getting focused down at this point. ForGG doing critical damage for a 3rd base is not worth it whatsoever.
Yeah. Cuts off the head of the tech for Su. Drones being pulled to fight against Marines. This is not what you want to do at this stage of the game, but he does have some Banelings can finally help clean this up. But that 3rd base took a pummeling on ForGG's side.
And the problem is the 3rd CC didn't even die. The Mutas couldn't finish it off. So ForGG just has to plant it down again, drop mules, make more SCVs, and he is in such a lead at this point.
Oh, this has been a slugfest, man. ForGG definitely showing he is not going to bow out early in this series. Despite the way that this game started, he's recovered phenomenally well. Supply is dead even. The upgrades still going to be in favor of Su in about a minute's time when that +2 finishes up.
That's actually pretty considerable too.
With the Widow Mines, ForGG can still dance a bit with this.
Widow Mine going to do so much.
No, not bad. Takes out about 1/3 of the Banelings with this force. The Mutas are going to come in and slowly pick them off, but ForGG's focusing on pushing this creep back, and he's back in the main again.
If he cancels this again, this is actually going to be ridiculous. These drops are just doing way too much damage. Su has to get overlords over there. He has to scout these out and stop them. While this is happening, though, we do see a counterattack on the 3rd base.
He's right at that 3rd base. ForGG is everywhere. I have to say, at the start of this, I'm like, man, you know, Mutalisks, it's a great way to cut off the drops, but ForGG still somehow keeps finding his way into Su's base left and right. It's really incredible. ForGG is supposed to be the underdog here. He's not supposed to be trading blows with a GSL Code S 4-time semifinalist, Moonglade. This is some really impressive play, but Su, he's still got a good army set up. He still has the upgrade advantage, and it only takes 1 or 2 fights with that upgrade lead to knock someone like ForGG out.
Absolutely. He still has the potential to, you know, just take that one great fight and counterattack to that 3rd base. But I mean, he's on the pressure here. His creep spread has been cut off completely, and it looks like we're going to see Su go for one more faithful engagement here, but he's got to be so careful with these Widow Mines, off creep especially. Unlike
many top Terrans, ForGG sticks with just Marines, no Marauders, which means he cannot take a straight-up fight at all. The Banelings not getting hit by these Widow Mines really complicates things. They're slow off creep, but is there too much? The 3rd base taking more hits. As the Banelings run out, the Marines can get a little bit more done, but Su is slowly but surely trading better and better as every fight happens.
Absolutely. Look at the supply difference. You know, this was such a horrible position at one point, and now we see the pressure at the 3rd base constantly. This perfect macro from Su is coming in, and look how many Zerglings there are now.
The Bane train chasing the SCVs. He needs to stabilize at his natural. These Widow Mines need to burrow because ForGG's been putting the pressure on back on the other side. Wow, Moonglade. Those Widow Mine shots are buying him a new lease on life here.
Absolutely, and we do see a counterattack at the 3rd base from ForGG, but he has to get out of here because of the Banelings. Very close, though. I mean, if he could take out another base again.
Still burning. You gotta fix that up. Of course, the Banelings come on the high ground. And actually, losing the units in this drop would be a big loss. Good pickup by ForGG to back away there. Mutalisk count continues to rise, though, Moonglade. What are we looking at? It's quite a few now.
We're looking at 13 mutas at the moment, so not too bad. He's lost quite a lot in this aggressive play, especially down at that 3rd base, and a lot of Widow Mine
I was
hits.
expecting to see a few more from Su. This really makes it difficult to chase these forces, because when you unload 8 Marines, Well, with those medevacs and stim, man, they can cut down that small Mutalisk count pretty damn easily.
Yeah, I mean, he's finally getting his 7th, and hopefully soon his 8th, so he can actually make more Mutas and maybe even transition into the Tier 3 tech. Once he's kind of got control of the map again, we do see ForGG moving out to the middle of the map while this drop is kind of distracting everything of Su's.
And nice, finally cleans up those medevacs on the right side. The 4GG, he's making another push. This is where the least amount of resistance is, the least amount of creep spread, so he doesn't have too far to go, but it'll only take 1 or 2 more big fights. Su has a huge supply lead at this point in the game. Widowmines are going to burrow Marines, just Marines with no support against Baneling Muta. Even without creep spread, just Marines, there's no Marauders to tank. There's no Hellbats to get splash damage. He's relying purely on his splits and all of these crazy drops.
Yeah, he's constantly moving these more drops in. Once the Mutas and Lings get distracted, and this could actually potentially take down the Hatcher if we saw some focus fire, but now it is too late. Going to go into that main. There's already Zerglings and Banelings waiting. And at the same time, we see ForGG going over to the 3rd base with that drop that managed to get away.
Yeah, he's trying to put pressure at every angle, but at this point, Su's 4th base allowed him to get a lot of Zerglings. And as nice as the pressure's been from ForGG, he now has that even upgrade scenario, but the 1 or 2 fights that Su was able to take with those ups really got him an advantage. And now ForGG is going to start the 3-3. That we've seen this as the comeback moment for a lot of Terrans. But he needs 1 or 2 more good fights to stay in this. Su is going to start to bank resources. The biggest problem, of course, is getting his further tech up as he lost his lair early on in this game. But he still has that army advantage in the economy until ForGG gets a 4th base.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a 3-3 start very, very late for ForGG, actually, which was a big, big problem because he had to keep this momentum going.
Yeah.
Going into that 3-3 advantage is a huge thing in ZVT, and it has been delayed for so long that I actually think he's kind of ran out. He's kind of missed the timing that he needed. And from here, I feel like Su is only going to get bigger and bigger. We see another huge engagement onto the main army of ForGG.
Yeah, Su collapsing on this force, but there's not really any medevacs left, so every stim for these Marines just makes them weaker in the actual engagement. A lot of Marines waiting on the other side of this ramp, but can he hold this off? Well, maybe his natural can, but that 3rd base is going to be exposed once again.
I mean, there's nowhere these SCVs can go if the Banelings decide to go in here, but actually taking the brunt of the Marines here, I don't know if he even needs to do that.
Oh, that command center is a big target. Okay, gets rid of the Banelings. A lot of SCVs are killed, though, and we've talked about this. ForGG is having a difficult time climbing in supply. You can't really afford with that saturation out there to put out enough Marines while building Widowmines, while building medevacs. However, that 3-3 is getting closer and closer, and he needs to be the most cost-effective Terran we've ever seen because there are 40 Banelings finishing up right now.
Yeah, there are so many Banelings, and it looks like ForGG is going to go in. There's simply not enough Widowmines, though. He's going to need some magical shots on the 2 that he has. I don't know if he's going to get it, and ForGG is running for his life once again.
Yeah, those Zerglings took the Widowmine shots even onto the Marines to deal friendly fire, and now ForGG finds himself down 70 supply. Every mine shot just not effective, and ForGG continues to retreat. Okay, well those
all right,
rocks.
Widowmines are pretty good, I guess.
Those rocks took one for the team.
Yeah, huge one, and I'm not surprised. It looks like Su just wants to finish things off here. He's just doing simply too much. He's into the production line now. Zerglings, Mutas everywhere. I think GG.
Yeah, solid game 1 from Su. Definitely faced a bit more resistance than I think he might have expected.
Yeah.
But he so far will continue his undefeated run in this tournament, still not dropping a single map. He wants to repeat. He wants to join Tasia in the DreamHack Undefeated Players Club.
Absolutely, and you know what? I think that might have been one of the closest games we've ever seen. That was actually, I was almost convinced that we were going to see Su lose at one point. I'm like, my prediction is going out. Yeah, you know, he's been in the final so many times. He's never taken it.
He could potentially get 2 championship crowns within the span of almost a week now. As he'll be playing.
So true,
yeah,
actually.
the Codes finals are not far off, but this guy wants to change that. He wants to get his first championship in StarCraft 2, and oh, so close is he. In the bottom left, a red Terran player representing Millennium. He is ForGG.
Playing a very, very close last game. It was very, very excited, very close. Can he do it again against this player, the favored player in the top right, the blue player from SK Telecom T1. He is Su. I'm sure he's sweating after last game, you know. He's like, man, I lost my main hatchery. I lost my lair.
Yeah.
And I came back that actually shows how good he is, but I mean, he did make a critical mistake there.
And I think it's fair for us to mention that in very scrappy, evenly matched Terran versus Zerg games, even if it's evenly matched or the Terran's favored, you don't see main snipes like that. You maybe it's a few drones here and there.
You don't see comebacks from that if that happens usually.
Yeah,
but Su just stays
I
strong.
killed your main hatchery. I killed your lair. You can't get an infestation pit. You're set back to the Stone Age as far as tech goes.
That's right.
Su managed to play ball there, and even this game, he still doesn't want to have to worry about any early cheese. Because he goes for the pool first. This time, sans gas, so it won't be any type of speedling play. Yeah. But a 2 racks, more easy to defend. A Proxy Reaper won't do anything against an opening like this.
Absolutely. So, playing it very, very safe. He's aware of these European Terrans that love to 2 racks. I mean, MMA is another one. He 2 racks his every single game against Zerg, it seems. And, I do actually really agree with this kind of opening from Su. Playing it safe, he knows he has the macro. He has that mid game. We saw it last game, despite how far behind Su got from the aggression, from the main snipe, he still came back, he still dominated. He got that creep spread out, he got the macro out, he got his 4th base down, and he constantly just denied everything ForGG could do. So I think he's just going to play that again.
Yeah, all things considered, the way that both players have opened up this game really allows them to flex their macro muscles in this game. It's not going to come down to, oh, well, I didn't see these Zerglings coming across the map, or I didn't get an SCV in his base. If either one of these players wants to do something a little bit tricky, they're more than free enough to do it. And despite opening with pool first, we see that Su didn't really make enough Zerglings to contest a low ground natural expansion. ForGG doesn't have much to worry about at the start of this game, but Su, that's a different story.
A bit of a cheeky play here. I mean, he did get 2 Zerglings out on the map. He's going to look to try and kill that SCV and delay that CC as much as possible.
ForGG is building a second Reaper, though. Depends if he keeps it at home. Last game, he did. When the second Reaper came out, he sent his first one back. He just chilled. He relaxed, but all this bad boy's leaving. That Overlord saw the Reaper leave, too, and now these Zerglings are just... They're just going to be really annoying.
They're going to be really annoying. And you know what? Even if it doesn't kill the SCV, it forces the Reapers back. Yeah. So it gives him a lot of breathing room to just drone up, not worry about any sort of harassment on the drones or queens, anything like that. And look at that. He's delayed the CC. He's made the Reapers pull back. And this is a great start for Su in this game.
You know, the funniest part about this is every time I see this happen, man, there's so much... unseen damage caused by this. The factory and reactor are done. The command center still has another 30 seconds left. He actually can't build 2 Hellions. He's supply blocked right now, and it's not by any normal mistake that a Terran player makes at this stage of the game. You just expect your command center to be done because it gives you that supply. So already the initial pressure from the Hellions is going to be delayed because of this.
Everything is delayed, just that small little reaction there. So very, very nicely done from Su. It gives him a lot of breathing room. Gives him more time to get creep tumors out. I mean, there's only Reapers here to kind of stop his queens. So, he's feeling very, very comfortable.
Yeah, because of that, it allows him to get his first creep tumor out nice and quick. The Reapers will still be able to prevent a drone from running to this 3rd, which ForGG checks for. But it's still not the worst possible position. It's not as bad as having the command center canceled. And we can see that ForGG is pretty much doing the same thing he wanted to do on the last map, just this really fast 3rd command center. And we're going to see him... hopefully beast it up with those drops again, because that was a really effective style to see him break out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure, though, Su is not going to forget that game. He's going to realize that there's 2 Medivac Marines come out of the map. He's going to need to have Zerglings. He's going to need to have something out on the map before he gets to those mutas so he can shut down those Marines.
Yeah, Su is showing a very flexible
I actually really like
style here. He's going for roaches, the Roach Warren, a lair, and 2 evolution chambers. And you know what? From all the games I've seen, players like Hyun, there's been a lot of Zergs that had success with 1-1 Roach pushes. It doesn't have to be that. Maybe the Roach Warren is for some sort of safety against Hellions, but well, there we go.
It's certainly going to be a Roach timing with that +1 range being upgraded. Lair just about finished as well, so he's going to go for a very, very fast Roach speed, but he cannot let the Reaper scouted. This could be huge trouble here.
Coming in, even just seeing this lair is a very nice tell. A scan behind that base wouldn't be bad, but there are Zergs that will just get these. Now the Hellions slip in, and ForGG is going to kill some drones. He sees the Roach Warren, seeing the evolution chambers, the lair this fast. He gets information, and he gets some drones to roast.
Absolutely. We do see Roaches come out as well, so he has given away everything he's got planned.
He's killed so many more workers than his initial Hellion impression in the last game. He gets all the scouting that he needs, and if you're ForGG, you know, there's nothing in this game that should catch you by surprise anymore.
Absolutely.
The worst thing, you know, worst case scenario, it's like, okay, well, if Su doesn't attack me, doesn't matter. I have 3 command centers. I didn't invest in anything. I'm just going to use my tech lab barracks. I'm going to crank out Marauders. And look at this. He's even building a tech lab on his factory to possibly just crank out some siege tanks because he knows with just Roaches, you don't have anti-air. His drops are still going to be effective in the mid-game. Roaches against a bio army that approaches 140, 150 supply. Roaches just suck versus that, man. ForGG is not going to make the mistake of letting himself get overwhelmed early on.
Yeah, it was entirely based on surprise here. He was not expecting that Hellion run by, and it has given him every bit of information as well as some critical damage. 14 drones is such a huge number of workers to lose that early on, and it's really put Su behind. Su's going to have to really... He's going to have to change things up big time if he wants to actually make something work. And we do see the Spire go down as well as the Baneling Nest. So it looks like he is going to go for that 1-1 Roach timing and kind of transition back into the normal style that made him win the last game.
I mean, he dealt so much economic damage, you can't afford to just, you can't get a crazy number of Roaches anymore. So he just gets his tech. And all this really means is that Su is just playing with a late everything. His Baneling Nest is late. His Baneling speed will be late. His Zergling speed, the Spire. ForGG doesn't have to worry about Mutalisks for another minute at least, and this gives him the comfort to just crank everything out. And also important to note, he's not quite as far behind in the upgrade department as he was last game either.
Yeah, that's very true. We do see Carapace ending pretty early on though, so he's going to have like that kind of like buffer there. It's going to help him out a lot. We do see a Medivac go into the main base, but how much army does Su actually have? Because he has a habit of kind of cutting.
Not a lot.
He kind of has this big habit of just cutting units while he's being greedy. And I granted, he has to be greedy this game. He has to catch up and do some critical...
His Zergling speed still hasn't actually finished, so he can't swarm these Marines. He's like, yeah, you know what? I'll just kill all your Zerglings, lift up. He trades 2 Marines for a serious number of Zerglings. The third base is delayed once again, but it's not quite that bad. Su starts Ventral Sacks. Maybe a misclick?
That is definitely a misclick. Absolutely. You know, he's a little flustered. He's taking a lot of damage here. He's kind of defending a lot. He's trying to save his tumors. And I'm sure, hopefully he'll find that out and cancel it because he has no reason to, no business going Overlord drop in this game.
Yeah, I don't expect to see too many drop plays from him, of course. So just another tiny slip-up caused by ForGG's endless aggression. The man that shouldn't win this series, the underdog, Terran player showing up here. As he moves out, he secured his 3rd base. Now, Su, the classic timing. Now you want to go take your 4th base. This is how it works. You want to stay a base ahead of ForGG. But Terrans, when you reach this point in the game, you're starting to crank out these factory units. I'm sure we'll see him move into Widow Mine soon as well. He's going to want to put pressure on your 4th, and I'm sure we're not going to see the drop stop anytime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do actually see some great creep spread out to the 4th base of Su's. He knew exactly what he had to do from this point. I feel like it's kind of the same that we saw last game. Su got in a very awkward position, and then he let his macro do the talking, and it let him get back into the game here. And we're seeing the exact same sort of thing. He should be able to stop this drop before this 4th goes down. He's going to trade a lot of Zerglings for it, though. It's a bit of an awkward position next to the mineral patches. But, I mean, this creep spread is going to help him out a lot when ForGG finally makes that push with tanks and Marines.
It's a nice little bit of aggression. Mutalisks swing around just a little bit to the right side. They didn't actually go on ForGG's half of the map, but the position that he took his 3rd command center makes him very safe against any of the run-by style plays that we saw on Merry-Go-Round, where every time ForGG left his base, he got hit pretty hard. And I'm also looking at these upgrades, man. The 2-2's going for ForGG, but the +2 melee upgrades never started. Zerglings have a really hard time killing better upgraded Marines, especially when they're under medevacs.
Yeah, he's going to really have to rely on Banelings if he's not going to get that melee +2 upgrade. A little bit of a mistake there. I think, yeah, he did end up canceling the Overlord drop upgrade. Thank goodness for that, because that would have been a huge mistake, and it's very, very costly, 200. And finally, we see ForGG move out with his huge amount of Marines and tanks.
He's pushing towards that alley on the left side, splitting his Marines. He's got tanks to help cover against these Banelings. So many Terran players, when you try to kill this fort, this is Death Alley, man. You come through here, the Banelings hit from both sides, but with tank support, because he was worried about the roaches, he has that zoning capability, but he needs to keep his Marines spread out. If the Mutalisks can pick those bad boys off, if the Banelings can spread well enough to just overwhelm him anyway, that's when things fall apart. Su's gonna come down the ramp. Mutas go straight for the siege tanks. Marines are split reasonably well, but there's so much Zerg, Moonblade.
There is just so much Zerg. This is Su. This is Su in a nutshell. His macro is insane. He still has so many Banelings to back him up here. He's waiting for the Terran to get closer to the ramp.
This is an army need Widow Mines for Banelings continuing to chase for Su. ForGG's Marines taking some serious heat. The rally, if Su can break this rally, he's already at the front door of ForGG's base. He's already at the third, retreating to a very interestingly placed forward bunker that can actually help him hold this down. Without Banelings, it's going to be tough. But the only one gets right on top of the Marines, too.
Look how much Zerg there is. There's constantly a stream of Zerg, and there's still not enough of ForGG to actually stop this. The tank goes down, and the third base is completely open for Su at this point. This is a Kesper Zerg. This is the #1 Kesper Zerg. This is what happens when you train like a machine. And Su, you know, he's not stopping here. He's not stopping the aggression at all. He knows that he can end it right now if he keeps the aggression going.
Yeah, the 2-2 finishes for ForGG, but Su wants to keep his undefeated run going. He's broken. The 2-2 does give him a nice extra bit of firepower. Those Zerglies are a little bit weaker, but he can find other ways to poke. ForGG down 50 supply, starting those +3 upgrades about as on time as possible this game. Still does not have any way to get aggressive. And more Banelings being more, Su's not going to give him a chance to recover.
Su wants to end this right now. We only see Marines. We actually see no mines, no tanks. He's in such an awkward position here. And if he gives up this ramp here, he's going to leave the third base completely open. And from there, I feel like it's only a matter of time until Su chokes him out. But Su wants to go for the army. He wants to go for these Marines.
Yeah, ForGG tried to target the Banelings, removing it on some of these SCVs. He will be able to save them. These Marines, you know, they're doing a nice bit of dancing, but just Marines against Mutalisks, Zerglings, Banelings is not quite enough. ForGG's still actually building siege tanks very slow. The Mutalisks deal with them quite easily. They attack slowly, and they move, I think, a little bit too slow to help secure this base. You can't really push with siege tanks in a position like this. And with just Marines, man, not a lot of medevacs to heal them either. Those Banelings are going to continue to complicate things as, well, a lot of these Marines are almost hurt just from the previous engagement. Su dives in once more. 183 supply to 130. The tank siege is up, immediately attacked. And the Marines are still splitting pretty damn well, but at some point, you just don't have enough to kill the next wave.
Absolutely, and it's 40 supply deficit at this point. Still, Banelings are alive. Going into the SCVs now, and more are coming as well. These medevacs getting cleaned up by the Mutalisks. ForGG is running out of everything. He's down 60 supply, 80 supply at this point. He's getting into the production line.
You put up a good fight, ForGG, but there's a reason that I'm undefeated here, taking incredible amounts of damage. He's cleaned out the natural expansion. The third base for ForGG, though, it is still mining. He's still climbing to that 3-3. He wants to make the comeback a reality, but Su has now taken every base on his side of the map, save that gold. And with the saturation he has, with all the gas geysers, the high finishing, and so many Banelings, how are you ever supposed to attack this Zerg?
You can't attack because you're constantly on the defensive. This is the craziest thing. We've seen Su crash into ForGG again and again, but he's maintained that insane supply lead. And he doesn't stop the aggression whatsoever. There's simply no way for ForGG to get it back into this, and he has lost every single SCV at his third base, and he might even lose his CC as well.
The last vestige of economy for ForGG is taken down, and with that, potentially the last Terran hope of this tournament, the army being attacked in this choke. Banelings streaming in on top of this army. The Mutas hitting from the back as well. ForGG dropping to 76 supply, and Su just says, well, if you're not going to leave the game, I'm going to make 20,000 more Banelings.
He's already got more
keep
Banelings.
crashing into you until you do. ForGG taking another big hit, lands his command center, and GG's out. Su going to the grand finals.
Absolutely insane play. Perfect macro, as expected from Su. What a badass. And he has made it to the finals without dropping a map.
Fantastic games by Su. ForGG He put up a fight, but man, it's just, you know, there's a reason Sue's here. There's a reason why he's tripping everybody up.
Absolutely.